Hi, welcome to lesson number 4 of the Solo Suite eLearning module. For this lesson, we will be focusing on the Write Out Loud and the co-writer portions of this text-to-speech software. My name is Lori Garcia, and I am an assistive technology specialist with Northeast Independent School District. For lesson number 4, we will focus on remembering the tools and icons in Write Out Loud so that you can analyze the value of each support for students with different needs. For this video, we will also be looking at the co-writer software and focus on the support provided by that word prediction software. We will be manipulating the visual and auditory settings, toggling on the topic dictionary and word bank, and setting up user preferences. It's always important to think of a student as you complete these lessons because really we are here for the students. Now, where do we open the Solo Suite in the Northeast ISD folders? We begin at the Start menu, All Programs, and the Secondary Applications folder is where you will find those files to deploy. As I always like to revisit information often, and as I've said many times, the Solo Suite icon here consists of the Read Out Loud, Draft Builder, and Write Out Loud. And the co-writer is separate because it can be opened independently to be used with any word processing software or internet form to support spelling skills, as well as to limit the amount of keystrokes made and other functions that students may need. I'm going to click on the Solo Suite so that we can open up the Write Out Loud, and we will be using the Write Out Loud in cooperation with the co-writer. I'm going to click on my name, and I'm going to open the Write Out Loud software. I will be turning off the speech function so that it is not a distraction from our video lesson today. However, when you run through the eLearning module tutorials on your own, you will be having the speech capacity turned on. The Write Out Loud is a wonderful tool for many different student needs. A lot of times students just really like to hear what they've written because the auditory feedback will help them to find mistakes in between the difference of things that they think they have written and the reality of what has been put down on the page. Currently, I have the toolbar in large toolbar mode. This is good for a variety of things, but especially for our students with a visual impairment. Let's quickly review the toolbar, and most of these icons are familiar to you from previous sessions as well as for other technology products. Under the File menu, we have the standard New, Open, Print, and these icons are very important and helpful as we're navigating between the pieces of the software. In the Edit menu, we have our Cut and Copy when we have text available, Paste, we can clear and select, and these are some very important pieces. And as we write a piece of text, then we can look at how a student can easily move between each next sentence. One of the helpful pieces about this is that when a student moves to the next sentence, they can see have they indeed placed their end punctuation where it should be, or placed it at all, and they can look and ensure that they have capitalized the first letter of that sentence. They can select an entire sentence and drag and drop it somewhere else to easily organize their thoughts and ideas and place that sentence where they think it might be better served in the context of their written composition. And they can swiftly move to the end of the document to begin adding more text. Under the View, we have the Simple and Advanced toolbar toggling and the Small and Large toolbar toggling. Let's click on Simple Advanced. As you can see, it's reduced some of the distractions which may be frustrating for students. And I can also decrease the size of the toolbar. I'm going to keep the size large, and I'm going to put it back on that advanced toolbar. Under the Insert menu, we can add a picture. In previous portions of Solo Suite that we've covered, the Insert menu will bring things up such as add an outline. here we can add a picture because at this stage of the writing process, we are at a point where they can embellish with words and they can embellish with pictures. This is really important for students to make it more meaningful for them. After they've completed their written composition, is probably the best point to insert pictures which would support their words. The text menu allows us to change the visuals of the paper. Perhaps they need to, for the main chunk of their text, we would want to align that text to the left, but their title, that would be better placed as an align to the center. Aligning things to the right, perhaps the teacher needs them to put their name to the right. Single, double, and triple spaced is very important for helping our students not only as a point of formatting for the teacher's purposes, but so that a student can really focus and it can help them to read it with more white space on the page, just as we have some of our state mandated testing with double spaced font, Verdana font, things to make it more visually approachable. And as you can see, many of these are already familiar to you. Setting colors is something that can be quite important to students with dyslexia, scotopic sensitivity. I have even found that a lot of my students who have been diagnosed with autism, they really tune in and attend to the text for a longer period of time if it is on this red background. Choosing the color of the background is not for my enjoyment as an educator. It is about the needs and preferences of the student. Personally, this red background blows my mind. It is very hard for me to concentrate using this red background, but it's not about me. It's about what is best for the student. And that's really one thread through this entire series of the e-learning module that I would like you to carry with you as you go forth into the classroom using any assistive technology, any teaching strategies, any piece of universal design for learning, is to please remember it is always about the students and it is not about our needs and preferences as the educator. So I am going to go ahead and set colors to a different background. Let's choose a mild blue. Let's choose here. Okay. I'm going to delete this text. Okay. Actually, let's change to a background color that is more common for our students with dyslexia, and that's a soft shade of yellow. Let's look at some of the speech tools. I have turned off the speech and I have turned off the ability for the program to speak the toolbar and dialog boxes. I still want it to highlight word for word. I have the opportunity to change the voice settings. This is very important. Again, I've revisited this information often as well. Students will be able to pay attention to voices that they appreciate more. So it is important that we find a voice that's right for them. It's also very important that the rate is not too low or too high. If the rate of speech is too low, then the student will not be able to pay attention. It may become frustrational because the voice is speaking too slowly. Vice versa, if the voice is speaking at a high rate of speech, like I tend to do, then the student will not be able to comprehend, pay attention, or focus because it is too quick. Now, certain students with diagnoses, such as a visually impaired student, they have much more highly developed senses in certain areas than people without those special needs. So a student who is visually impaired can hear much more clearly and at a much quicker rate of speech than a student with a processing disorder. A student with an auditory disorder can see better typically and has higher developed sense of smell. So we would factor in a student's need based on their disability as to what they might need with the voice settings. Another piece of the speech is the pronunciations. I'm going to click on the pronunciations panel. This allows us to change the pronunciation of a word that might be dialectical. For example, the word abuela in the program, when we speak it, it says abella. Older versions may say abula. This is the version 6, and the lexicon editor is slightly different, but we would write the word as it is phonetically pronounced, much as if we were pretending we were a librarian and we're working on just the phonetic spelling. So for this word, I might type and I know that you have the sound turned off, but then every time that I have this word, abuela, spelled, it will pronounce it huela. That is important for students who may find it very difficult emotionally to hear the name of a parent or a family member or friend spelled that is spelled correctly but pronounced differently because the program does not recognize that. Let's look under the tool menu here, and the tools menu has the same tools throughout Solo, but we have a couple of extra ones here. My favorite that I always like to immediately turn on is cue misspelling. When I'm working with students, I teach them that the sound they hear from the cue misspelling, which sounds something like doo-doo, I teach them that that says spell check. So they will immediately, once they've misspelled a word, they will come over here and check their spelling. I like them to get into that habit because it also helps reinforce spelling patterns for them in a positive way. All right. I'm going to turn on the co-writer. And again, I've told you all this many times throughout this series of videos, but the co-writer truly is my favorite piece of software. This little blue box right here is the co-writer. And, I'm going to increase the size of the font. Let's push that a couple of times. All right, nice and big. Now, as I type into the co-writer, where my cursor is where the words will flow. L, F, N, T. I have typed a word with 0 vowels. It is common for our students with poor decoding skills and a lack of phonemic awareness to completely leave out chunks of words or leave out vowels entirely, as I have done here. To hear the words, I can use my down and up arrow keys to highlight the word. The program is saying left, lift, elephants, landed, land. I can also use my cursor to highlight the word that I think I may want, and I can click on that word, or once it's highlighted in this way, I can push the enter key. Elephants. Now, if you will notice, the co-writer has intuitively realized that I have a pluralized version of a noun right here. Therefore, I am going to require a pluralized version of the verb. So it gives me the opportunity to use the to be verb in the pluralized form. Now I have written elephants are TSTY. Some students can easily identify the word they want and just click the number that corresponds with that word. Some students cannot do that, and they would actually need to hear the words. I'm going to push my end punctuation, and if the sound were turned on, the sound would have read each word at each space, and as soon as I insert some end punctuation, the sound would read the entire sentence back to me as well. Now I will continue to write my sentence. Notice the way I have spelled this word. K-N-A is the way that I have chosen to spell the word can. And this program is so highly developed that it realizes that might be one of the choices I'm looking for. Now I have not found the word that I want here. I can check and listen to each choice, but the student, as they're listening, will realize that it's not here and they will need to alter their spelling. I made a fancy spelling error. This sounds the same, so I'm going to choose this one because I heard bite. Now, I can go back after I've written my piece of text here and I can turn on the homonym checker to identify the homonyms in the sentence. And you will be amazed to find how many homonyms are in this little piece of written output of 2 sentences. Look at this. We have the homonym you. Let me move co-writer out of the way. And I can hear my sentence in context if I push the button here. You, when I push here for definition, it will read me aloud the definition of you as female sheep. You, Y-E-W, as evergreen tree or shrub. And you as yourself or the person being spoken to. I decide that is the correct version of the word that I want. And I'm going to skip 2 hours to bite, because that is the one that is in question. So bite, I can read chew, or I can read the definition here, cut or chomp with teeth. And I realize that's the one I want. I need to change that word, or else it will continue on. If I click OK, it'll keep that word in there. So I'm going to change. And time. Time, I think that I like that one as it is. Okay. This is very valuable, this homonym checker, when you are, I'm going to close out of co-writer right now, when you're having a student engage in a vocabulary activity. Perhaps they need some vocabulary for the Civil War. They may be looking at the word siege. They may be looking at the word armies. Let's see if we can check spelling. Spelling is correct. Been having trouble with my dictionary. No, yay, my dictionary works. I'm looking up the word elephant because it was the first word. Gives me definition of elephant. I'm going to look up the definition of the word siege with my dictionary. Now this dictionary will read to me. I can have the dictionary read me the definition, and I can copy that definition. A lot of times teachers will assign students a task of finding the dictionary definition and documenting that, maybe in their journal, maybe on a piece of paper. Well, for our students with processing disorders or physical disabilities, visual impairments, that act of getting a dictionary, opening it up and finding the word within that volume of a dictionary, and then getting the correct definition that you want and writing it down, that is an overwhelming task to ask them to do. I have just copied the definition and I can, under the Edit menu, paste that definition right here. I do have the word twice. Okay. Now, here I have, and I can read it with my purple speaker button. I can read my definition, or I can go on and I can find the definition for armies. Armies. When I click here, it will read me the definition: group of men and women trained to fight a war. I can copy that definition. Click OK. I can paste the definition. Here it was singular instead of plural. So we've seen a couple of the ways that the Write Out Loud can support students. I'm going to draw back and refocus on the co-writer. Remember, we can easily wake up the co-writer with the icon shortcut key right here on the toolbar. But I also want you to be aware, and I will go ahead and wake up co-writer. I also want you to be aware that we can use co-writer in coordination with anything that we type into. So I will minimize everything and go down to my desktop. My co-writer remains open to help me. It's kind of at the ready, as it were. I have Microsoft PowerPoint slideshow open so that I can, okay. All right. I'm going to add a slide to my slideshow. And I'm going to bring up co-writer, which has gone into hiding down here on my toolbar just to get out of my way. I'm going to bring up co-writer so that I can show you one way you can use co-writer in another software that you can type into. Co-writer. Let's see. I'm going to describe in this slide how you need to document co-writer in the Special Ed Manager paperwork if a student will require the use of co-writer as an allowable accommodation for testing purposes. Okay? I will type, a student must have a disability that causes poor spelling. Easy. Let's move this down. SPLG, and the first thing it gives me is spelling. Period. I click enter and I get the same results in the PowerPoint as I would without the co-writer turned on. Now I will type in just a regular keyboarding way to show you some students may not need the co-writer for every single word, but it is available to them. So I will type the use of oops, sorry. And I can go back and edit any mistakes that I've made. I'm going to use the co-writer to help me. co-writer must be an allowable Now, I just now clicked 5 and excuse me, I'm sorry. I just clicked 5 and it brought up the word we. What I need is pages 5 and 5b. This is one place where we would, if we were going to need to use numbers, under the settings tab, I would have to have the numbers turned off so that I could use the graphic of the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And finally, be documented and finally, it must be documented in the testing worksheet. Let's go back into the Write Out Loud and let's go ahead and start typing a piece of text. Now, this little box right here for the co-writer works beautifully with the Write Out Loud because we can take the preferences that we know a student needs, click on this little arrow right here, and we can really change the user preferences for everything that a student will be doing on a specific task, as well as everything a student will need. This first tab up here is for the topic dictionaries, and it has some recent topics that have been opened, but let's go ahead and look at more topics so that you can see how many there are. There is a huge list of built-in topic dictionaries. As you can see, I'm just scrolling through many of them. So let's say that the student is writing about World War II. We can also go look for any other topic dictionaries that have to do with World War II. But look at how many we have. So instead, I'm going to click over here in the category list and click on History. And this narrows it down so that I can more easily find available topic dictionaries for World War II. I'm going to click on the Holocaust. I think I would like to click on Eleanor Roosevelt. And is there anything else I can use? No, not today. So I've clicked on 3 topic dictionaries so far: Eleanor Roosevelt, the Holocaust, and World War II down here at the bottom. I'm going to click OK. Now right here I can create my own topic dictionary. This is really wonderful if a teacher is requiring students to use a word bank, perhaps a vocabulary from their textbook, or maybe if the class has decided on certain vocabulary that they want to use, and if a student has to use those specific words to create a paragraph, then the teacher can create a topic dictionary for that student and they can choose that topic dictionary. We can create one now. Let's see. Scaffold. Okay, I'm going to create It was created successfully, and it is here under my recent topics. I'm going to deselect this for now, but I wanted you to see how simple it is to create your own topic dictionary. So now these are the 3 topic dictionaries we've chosen, and I'm going to click on the Word Bank tab at the top. This slider here will help me to decrease the number of words or to increase the number of words in my topic dictionary that I will be using. Right now I have it slid all the way, and it's got a good amount of words in here for me to use when creating a written composition about World War II. Another helpful thing for a student is to display it while writing. I've clicked Show While Writing so that this box over here is that word bank. If after you see that, if you decide that's too many for the student you're working with, you can slide it to show a smaller or increase it to show a larger number of words depending on student need. And here we can click on Cloud. So now we see some of the words that are used more frequently in those topics that we chose. I can also go back and say, you know what, I don't think I need the Eleanor Roosevelt topic, and I can take that off. Okay. Now I'm going to look at the vocabulary overall. Right now, the main dictionary is on an intermediate level. Different students may need a beginning main dictionary available to them. This would bring words up more frequently, like the, and, of, for. Some students need the advanced main dictionary. I'm working with students and the co-writer who have cerebral palsy, and they just need to use the co-writer so they don't have to type as many letters to get their written compositions completed because of fatigue issues. We can also increase this and see all word source options. The topic dictionaries can become active as a main dictionary all the time. Now I'm going to keep it on intermediate dictionary, but I do want you to be aware of this personal dictionary. One student that I've worked with, she has a very rich vocabulary. She's in GT classes and she's graduating this year in May of 2012. She has received a scholarship to go to Our Lady of the Lake University as well as A&M University, and I'm very proud of her. She does not need a beginning, an intermediate, or even the advanced main dictionary. She does not use the co-writer for every single thing. She decided she can hunt and peck with her 2 index fingers quite well. Thank you very much. But there are some words that are just rich polysyllabic vocabulary words she uses on a frequent basis. So she will add those to her personal dictionary and turn the co-writer on and off as she needs to. The way a student can choose their individual settings is under the, obviously, setting bar. Some students don't need the speech active, so we can turn the speech off. The students also have the same preference for voice if they want to change the voice, if they choose to have it on. And again, increasing or decreasing the speech rate based on what a user needs is very important. Text settings can be adjusted for students with a visual impairment, as well as the background and text color. If I have a visual impairment, it might be easier for me to have a black background with a yellow text color. Let's look at more settings that are available for a user. We can change the text window from the word window that is on by default to a sentence window. The sentence window, I would like to show you that. It is really fantastic because, and I will take this off. The sentence window is very helpful for students who just can't remember to put their end punctuation in their sentences. Today is Sunday, and tomorrow is Monday. Oops. Tomorrow I will have pasta for lunch. And then, do you see where I'm going? Is that the student will not have the gratification, as it were, of seeing their words slide into the text box up here because they still haven't put their end punctuation down here. Once they put this end punctuation, in this case an exclamation point, then the words will slide from the co-writer text field into the word processor's text box. So for students who have a visual impairment or students who may just need the extra support of helping them to remember to put their end punctuation in, it is a very good idea to go ahead and have the text window turned on as a sentence window. I'm going to switch it back to Word window. Here's where we can show the numbers. Remember when I pushed the number 5 and the word we came up, when I really needed the graphic for 5 for the number 5. I can change that and turn the numbers off here, but it does not give students who may need the physical support of the numbers, it doesn't make that a possibility for them. Some of the other spacing and order and arrangements can be altered here. And let's go walk through the Use Setup Wizard. The Setup Wizard can either start with the current settings or we can apply a standard template. Some of the standard templates help with beginning writers, intermediate writers, advanced writers, and look at this. This is wonderful right here, the special templates. Autism is quite prevalent in our community and across the world, really. Autism rates are increasing rapidly. We will be working with students diagnosed with autism, and we will be expecting them to write and create compositions that are of a higher level of rigor. So there's a template here built in for students with autism, developmental delays, writers with dyslexia, and writers with motor impairments. Writers with motor impairments, or the AAC users, are given the opportunity to turn on scanning. The scanning, when it is turned on, will allow us to use an alternate input device such as a switch so that the words will automatically be highlighted and the user can click on the switch when it comes to the word that they want to use from the co-writer. And of course we have a special template for users with visual impairments. I'll click on that one. Here we can choose the co-writer window from Word window, sentence window, or paragraph window. I will keep it on Word window for now. And we can walk through the other pieces, either clicking on the buttons down here or clicking on the next key here. For most of our users in our school setting, we keep the support level on to predict always. However, some of our more high-functioning students, such as my student with cerebral palsy who is graduating, summa cum laude, we would have it predict as needed because they don't always need that prediction support. The writing level, we can choose the writing level here. For students who are very good spellers, we can choose exact spelling. Those students would be using the co-writer typically just for support with their physical disabilities and to limit the keystrokes, as I've talked about. Flexible spelling is the support that would be turned on for the students who would be using this as a testing accommodation on the STAR. Remember, TEA has chosen to allow us to use the co-writer and other word prediction softwares if a student requires it due to their poor spelling. That means the flexible spelling would need to be turned on. When flexible spelling is turned on, then the co-writer wizard will help us find words such as elephant when we type LFNT. This will help us choose the number of guesses, and the number of guesses can go up pretty high. It can go up to 9. 9 is probably too much for the majority of our students who have a learning disorder. Any type of learning disability might be overwhelming for them. 5 is about average and what I typically recommend, but of course, again, it all depends on what the student needs. And let's go ahead and show the numbers for our wizard. We can make the text size smaller, which is toggled on right now, or larger. Remember, we are choosing this co-writer wizard for a student with a visual impairment, so I'm going to keep it on larger. And we can choose the colors. I'll go back to the black with yellow letters. And let's go ahead and switch from the display tab under the settings to the prediction tab. Now we've walked through all of these tabs right here with using this setup wizard. Let's go back to the speech, and one of them that we have not walked through is the scanning options. The scanning options allow for the use of the switch devices if a student is not able to use an on-screen keyboard or any other input device. You can scan in a loop so that the words just keep reading repeatedly. And then a student can choose the word that they want by clicking on the switch. Some switches are attached to a head mouse. Some switches may be attached to an eyebrow or even a shoulder. Okay. For here, we will select the name from the list below to find a user, and we can activate that selected user. Okay. So here is what we've come up with for our box, our co-writer text box. And we can go to the beginning of our sentence in the Write Out Loud by clicking on this icon on the toolbar, the visual toolbar, to move to the beginning of document. A student can move to the next sentence all the way through their written composition to help them ensure they have placed their end punctuation properly in their sentences and that they have capitalized the beginning of the sentence. What I can see here from this one, pushing it one time, is that I have not put in any end punctuation other than this one exclamation point right here. So I'm going to turn the co-writer off, and we will concentrate on the write out loud portion right now. And let's see. Today is Sunday and tomorrow is Monday. After I read this section to myself, and if I had the speech turned on, then I could use my speak button. So I could put my cursor where I want the speech to begin. Today is Sunday and tomorrow is Monday. Tomorrow I will have pasta for lunch and then I will be so happy. I'm going to put the end punctuation here at the end of Monday. Now no amount of computer programs or computer games or anything with technology will teach a student better than a teacher. So there is no replacement for good teaching practices and good teaching strategies overall. A student must learn that they need to capitalize the beginning of their sentences from good instruction. Let's add a little bit more to our essay. The program has just read back, I have a cat who likes pasta. Through auditory feedback, I heard something sounded a little bit off. So I can change that and edit my composition right now. going to turn the speech off because it's distracting me. I know you can't hear the speech. Okay. I'm going to run the spell check, and it gives me some choices here, some suggestions about a word that I have misspelled. I can listen to the first choice, and it says importunate, importantly, important. Remember, in order to change the word to the one that I want, I need to click change. I want you to see, let me make it small. I want you to see this entire toolbar. And one of the icons right here that is very valuable is mark for deletion. This is a valuable tool because when a student goes back to read their essay, they can choose a piece of the text that does not fit. They can write more in there, or they can use this mark for deletion. This is great. I can have a strike through of the text so that I can show my teacher the piece of text that I've chosen to eliminate from my document, but yet it can still be in there. So in case I decide, well, it doesn't fit there, but I could actually move it, the whole piece of text, down here. You can do that with any of the text. You can choose to highlight and move the chunk of text by dropping the cursor where you want it to go. I'll put that back where it was. Okay. When I need to print or save my document, in Northeast School District, we can save our documents to the student's shared drive as a student, or they can save it to their personal student drives. I will click Save As to show you the opportunities of places where I can save it. Let me call this Sunday and Monday. If I save this document to Student Central, it is only available on the computer that I am working on. I can only open it up and edit it and continue to work on it from this computer. If I save it to my computer, then I can access it from any location where I've dropped it. Let's browse. Okay. I can save this to a flash drive. I can save this to my student shared drive. I can save this any place that is appropriate for me to be working on work and access it from anywhere in the school district. It's important that we teach students about saving their documents properly and to the right space where they want to be accessing them later, because a student who has poured their attention into working on a task is not likely to try that again. If they've completed the work and they can't find where they saved it, honestly, unfortunately, they will just take a 0 rather than finding it or doing it again. And a lot of times we distribute laptops to students, they will not be getting the same laptop back. So if they save it to my documents, they don't know, unless we've written down what computer they were using, they don't know where that document is saved at, on which computer. Well, this concludes the e-learning module for lesson number 4's video and lesson number 5's video. I have enjoyed creating this series of lessons for you, and after this you will be completing the remainder of lesson 4 and lesson number 5. If there's anything that I can do to support you, please contact me at lgarci31@neisd.net, and I will be happy to come out and help you and support your students, your parents, or your school in any way that you need. Thank you very much. This is Lori Garcia, and have a great day.